Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Dave, and on this channel, I like to cover my love of Lego investment, my Bricklink store, and general investment, I guess is what it is now. Kind of getting out of the reselling thing. This video, we are going to be focused on the Bricklink store, and I'm excited not just to share this information with you, but also to help clear off my shelves. I've had a lot of things in progress here recently that I haven't had the opportunity or the chance, or at least I haven't made it a priority enough to start clearing those out. But I thought that that would be a great thing to be able to share with all of you today. In case you're on the edge of your seats, I am going to be covering how to get more value out of your used Lego sets. So we're going to go ahead and get into that. Now, before I do want to ask, if you haven't already, please go ahead and click on that like button below. It helps my channel out immensely. If you're not subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you do that as well. If you want to gauge whether or not you want to subscribe to the end of the video, that's okay too. I appreciate it. I'm just excited to be here and share this information with everybody, giving you the behind the scenes as to what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. I'm probably doing it all wrong, to be honest. There's probably a million better ways that I could be doing all of this stuff, but I don't know unless I share it with you and that you guys give me feedback. So if there's anything that I'm doing, especially related to the items that I'm going to share with you today, that you think there's a better way to do, I would love to hear it from you. Leave it in the comment section below so that I can learn from you. I'm sharing all this information with you. I would love for nothing more than you to share some information back with me. Now, enough of me rambling. I'm sure you're excited to know how you can get more value out of your used Lego. So let's go ahead. We're going to jump over to the computer, and I am going to show you firsthand how I get more value out of my used Lego. Okay, so we are over at the computer. I've teleported over here. I think I shrunk during that teleportation because I'm this tiny little box down in the corner. However, I think it's important that I'm this small box because I want to make sure that you don't miss anything that we're going to be covering today. And I feel like in the last couple episodes where I've done these screen captures and I've been about the size of a house, I've been blocking out some of the items that I was trying to show you. So I'm an itty bitty tiny box down here in hopes that I don't end up covering anything up that I'm going to be talking about with you today. Used sets. That's the topic. That's what we're going to be covering. Specifically, how do I get more value out of my used sets? This is one of my used sets. This is set number 60012 4x4 and diving boat. It's a set that I ended up getting as a part of a large haul. I think it was part of a 24 set haul that I got, which were all, I'm going to call them near complete. But I think I got all of them for $20, or not $20. I think I got all of them for $100, all 20-some sets for around $100. It was a crazy deal. Found it on Facebook Marketplace. Quick tip, keep an eye on Facebook Marketplace. You never know what you're going to find there. So with that aside, though, the importance here is that when I went through this set, and that is the first key to getting more value out of your used sets, the set was in the box. However, I was unsure whether it was complete or incomplete. The first step that I usually do is get the manual out and walk through the manual and just put the pieces in a bag from top to bottom. That way, you can identify which pieces are missing, and this is going to be key. Selling an incomplete set online is not nearly as valuable as selling a complete set online. And so what I do is I leave myself a sticky note on the box, post-it note. Sometimes I'll put it inside the box. I started doing them on the outside, though. That way I know that I've gone through that set before, and if I want to reference what pieces belong in there, I don't have to open up the box. But what I do is as I'm going through the back of the instruction manual, I identify and write the part number as well as the quantity for each of the pieces that I'm missing. And that's what we're going to be doing today, is we are going to go into Bricklink, and I'm going to show you how to easily purchase all those missing pieces so that this incomplete used set can turn into a complete used set, which carries more value. So we're going to start off. I logged into my Bricklink account. I went up to this want, the big heart up here, and just click the want button. It's going to take you to your wanted list. And this is where we are going to start this set. This is how we're going to make this easy to purchase all the pieces, or at least a large portion of them. So I'm going to create a new wanted list. I'm going to go ahead and name this wanted list Wanted. I got to spell it right though. Wanted list for used sets. I don't want to give it a description. Apparently this coming soon feature about sharing your wanted list. I'm not going to do that, although that is an interesting thought, and I'm kind of excited about what that might mean in the future. But I'm just going to go ahead and create wanted list. So now that I've created the wanted list, what we need to do is start adding the pieces that we're missing, the ones from our Post-it note. We're going to go ahead and find those pieces. And I'm not actually going to do it by clicking add item and trying to browse and find the pieces. That takes a little bit too long for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to this search box and I am going to start typing in the piece number. One of the beauties about Bricklink is that it identifies the Lego part number as well as the Bricklink part number. So I'm going to come in here and do 6023970. And what we'll see is that there is this slope inverted 45 degree 6x1 double with 1x4 cutout, which happens to be one of the pieces that I am missing from this set. When I click on it, you'll see that that particular fully qualified part number from Lego does already give me the color that it needs to be in. And then right in the middle of the top information section, there is this button that says add to my wanted list. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. I personally, in this case, don't really care whether it's a new or used piece because it's going to go in a used set, which is already going to have other used pieces in it. So I'm going to leave the condition as any. This particular one, because on the Post-it note, I wrote the quantity I'm looking for or missing. I need 2 of these items. I'm not going to put a max price on this because I don't really care what the price per piece is that I'm looking to replace. I just want to get these things completed. If during the checkout process, when we get there, it comes up with something astronomical, I can always remove those parts. But I am going to make a point to add a remark, and I'm going to say 2 for 60012. And this is my way to indicate such that when I purchase these and I get them in, I know what set to identify them as or put them in after I receive the parts. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say I want to add this to important part. I almost messed up. Over on the left, you can see the different wanted lists that you have. You want to make a point to select the one that you're putting these into. You could theoretically have different wanted lists for different series of sets, different collection of sets. You could move things in between one and another if you wanted to hold off on the purchasing of some parts. For right now, in this example, we're just going to go ahead and use the one wanted list for used sets. I'm going to click Add to Wanted List, and you can see that it has said that it has been successfully added. We're going to go ahead and finish this off by adding the other 2 parts. 4653731. We can see here that we got a vehicle mudguard, again in orange. I'm going to add this to my wanted list. I'm going to select the wanted list from the left. Any quantity is fine, or any quality is fine. The quantity I need is 4, and this is 4 for 60012. Add to wanted list. And last part that I need to complete this set, 4264898. And so we have a modified brick with recessed studs. I'm going to add this. We choose the wanted list, any condition, 1 quantity, 1460012. Add that to the wanted list. Those were the only 3 part types or piece types that I was missing for that particular set. I'm going to go back, click on my wanted list, and I can scroll through it and see that I have 4 of the mud guards, 2 of the slopes, and 1 of the modified brick recessed stud thing. I can see that my remarks tell me, oh yeah, these were for this particular set. So now that I've got all the parts that I'm missing for this one set added to my wanted list, the next step, and this is why I use the wanted list for these, is that I can click on this Buy All button. By clicking the Buy All button, it takes me to a Buy Wanted List screen, and by default has applied the filter for the one wanted list I was in. So in this case, the one for the used parts that I'm looking for. I now have some additional store filters up here, and what I'm going to do is say, look, I really want to make sure that everything I'm buying is in the US, which is going to keep my shipping costs down. And then we can choose some other things. I don't necessarily care. US dollar is most likely what everyone is going to accept in the US. Instant checkout is nice, and so I would like to do instant checkout. That will let me know exactly what the shipping cost is going to be instead of having to request an invoice and get a surprise if it comes in much higher than I would have expected. If I come over here, I can choose to exclude lots below wanted quantity. And what that means is, for instance, the 4 mud flaps that I'm missing, I could say I don't want to include that relative to this store if the store only has 2 of the parts that I'm looking for instead of 4, because that means I'm going to have to purchase that item from 2 different stores at least, maybe more. I could choose that if I wanted. For right now, out of simplicity, I'm just going to keep moving. I'm not going to end up showing or excluding the lots over max price. I didn't set max prices. We're just going to come down to the list. What we can see is that I have a total of 3 different lots that I'm looking for. And when I look across these particular stores, it shows them to me, in essence, with all the different options. And I can sort these how I want. Right now, they're sorted by the number of unique lots that that store has. So, for instance, I have 3 different lots of items, different types of pieces that I'm looking for. The stores at the top of the list have the most matches to the different piece types that I'm looking for. For instance, this first one here, if I was to select them, I could see at a quick glance that this 0 to 60 fastest shipping happens to have 5 of the the modified brick with recessed stud pieces that I'm looking for. I would only need 1 of them. It also happens to have 8 of the slopes that I'm looking for that I only need 2 of. And lastly, it happens to have 2 of the mud guards that I happen to need 4 of. Which means this particular situation is exactly what I was trying to describe. It's given me all of these parts, but it's not allowing me to complete my wanted list. So we can see here that if I choose to check out from this store, I won't actually be able to complete that set. I'll get really close, but I will have to place another order. And at $1.13, I'd be okay with that. However, I know that there is going to at least be a $3 to $4 shipping charge on every order that I place. And so when I purchase this, it's going to be about $4 or $5. But more importantly, when I then purchase the 2 missing pieces from the next store, it's also going to be another $3 to $4, including the cost of pieces, which means I'm going to have a total cost of somewhere around $10 to complete this set, which is way higher than I want to spend. And so instead, I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this store. I could browse around these other stores. And so, for instance, if I go to Abby's Attic next and look down here, I could see that I can actually complete everything from Abby's Attic. Now, I'm browsing around. I'm looking at this. I can see that it's 74 cents. I would have to end up going to Abby's Attic here. I can see they do have a minimum buy of $5, so I'd have to add other things to it. There's some other stuff that we need to take into consideration. But what I can do is go up here and choose a different option. If I choose auto select, what it will do is try and minimize my total cost. I am going to uncheck select stores where item price is lower than the store minimum buy to see if we can happen to hit the home run. Maybe we can find a store out there that has all the parts we need. They don't have a minimum purchase quantity, and ideally that's what we're looking for. So let's see what we can do here. I'm going to hit start, and it searches through everything, and it does say that one store happens to be added. The Play Build Create store happens to have all 3 of the different lots, all 7 of the items that we're looking for. They have a 62-cent price across all those pieces, which is phenomenal. The next thing I would do is create carts. They have been added to a cart. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit checkout, and it should take me directly to their store where I can see what the cost of this is. And as you can see here, it's added all the pieces. It's given me an item total cost for those parts. Unfortunately, this next part is letting me know that this particular store has a minimum shipping and handling charge of $7.99, as well as sales tax that is TBD. So the real key for me here is the fact that this $7.99 shipping charge, it's shipping and handling. I'm assuming that's how they manage to compensate for allowing a minimum purchase. I don't have shipping and handling that much. If you want to come to my store and spend $1, I will charge you what the actual shipping cost is. I think I have $1 handling fee on there for very small orders, just to make sure that I'm covering all of my packaging materials instead of having to pull that out of the profit of $1's worth of items. So this here is actually pretty high. In this case, I'm probably not going to end up purchasing this. So I'm going to go ahead and empty the cart. And this is something I do just out of a courtesy to them so that they don't think that they've got these items being reserved and that someone's going to buy them. I'm going to go ahead and close that, and we are going to go back to our wanted list. A lot of the reason that I'm having this problem finding what it is exactly that I'm looking for is because of the fact that I have so few of items in here. If I went through more sets, I would end up building up a larger inventory of pieces, and then we would have a different setting. What I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to jump over to my real wanted list. So when we click here, I can see that I have a used set completion. This particular wanted list is one that I've already gone through and created, and I do have this particular set in there amongst a lot of other sets. You can see that I'm missing this reddish brown antenna for set number 3816. I've got some insect antennas for 70701. I've got an Aqua Shark minifigure for 6115 that I'm missing, and so on and so forth. These are all pieces that if I had, I would be able to complete these sets, which would increase their value, and I would be able to clear off my shelf, which is one of the things that is making this a priority for me. I need space. If you haven't noticed, looking behind me, my shelves are very full, and therefore I need to try and make some more space, and I'm going to do so by completing these sets. Let's take a look and see what happens if I click Buy All on this wanted list. You can see we're filtering the stuff down right now. I did choose instant checkout, and I can see that the closest I get to everything is 99 out of my 135 different lots. From there, it continues to go down. However, they may be different pieces. And so in this case, when I choose auto select, it's going to behave differently. I'm continuing to not check this box here because I don't want to have to add additional items to meet a minimum store purchase. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start. This is going to search through all these different stores and let me know what options I have to purchase my parts. And this is how they have managed to get my inventory. We can see up top that this is going to give me 216 out of my 220 total items that I am missing from the different sets, which gives me 98% of my sets complete, or my parts for those sets complete. There's a lot of different stores that this has to be purchased from in order to complete. So I can see here that in order to do this, this would cost me around $460, which is pretty high. And so at this point, what I would do is I would probably go through here and narrow this down. And so, for instance, I can see that, hey, look, I'm missing this instruction manual for this. Hey, this is a pretty high price. I don't know that I necessarily care about completing the instruction manual for that set for $2.20. I might end up removing that and backing it back down. But it gives me a real quick way to identify all the different items that I am missing. One last thing to cover before we wrap this episode up. I think you can see how we're going to be adding the value to our used sets, and it's basically by making them complete. I do want to show you one additional thing, and the reason I leave the remarks inside of my used set completion wanted list is so that I can filter this list down. For instance, if I want to go and make sure to complete set number 76019, I can come up here, 76019, and I can search for that. And what I'll see is it pulls up all the parts for just that set. I can then choose to select just those pieces, should I choose, and I can hit Buy 5 Selected and look at just the items required for that. So what do you think, folks? Did you find this episode helpful? Is this useful to you? Do you see the advantage of completing your used sets prior to posting them for sale? By going through the process of completing these sets and buying the pieces that I need, I've been able to really maximize my profit on these used sets. Now, in this particular case, I need to go through and get a lot of these things completed so that I can get them listed on the eBay store, which is my prime place for selling sets. I think I might explore in an upcoming video getting some of these sets posted to my Bricklink store. I haven't revisited that in a little while. If you visited the Bricklink store, you will certainly have seen that I only have pieces and parts on there. And I love the Bricklink fees. They're really low. They definitely beat all the other platforms. So for these used sets, I think I'm going to consider going in and adding some of these to it. I'm just a little bit nervous about setting the correct expectations because I don't think in Bricklink I can post the real pictures of my exact items. When I post a used set on eBay, I can take really good pictures from a lot of different angles so that people know, am I getting the box? Am I getting the instructions? What do the box and instructions look like? Are the pieces in a bag? Are they all just thrown in a box? There's a lot of variability in how people choose to define something as a used complete set. I like to be able to show the visual evidence for what I mean when I say complete, and it helps identify the condition of some of those items as well. And sometimes that is very important to the buyer, and I don't want to have a disappointed buyer. But I think I will end up exploring that again to seeing what options I have, seeing if there's now a way that I can include shipping and have an instant checkout process, even though I've got some stuff that's going to be of larger size and heavier weight. So stay tuned for some possible sets or another video talking about what I found when I looked into it coming up. I had fun. I hope that you had fun here too. Thanks for sharing this time with me. I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. We'll see you all in the next video, everybody. Bye.